I've been in the oil and gas business, which is probably the most common measure of energy, for the last 35 or 40 years. And what's kind of interesting is the trends that were in place beginning in October of 1973 continue today. And that is, this is a volatile business that has many ups and downs, a lot of periods of growth and a lot of periods of stagnation. So over the last 5 years, we've seen explosive growth in energy defined by oil and gas in North America. In 2008 and 2009, because of the major recession that took place, the Great Recession as it was called, we saw oil drop to $45 a barrel and gas was probably $2 an MCF. And since then, we've just seen explosive growth. The biggest change in the demand for talent recently has been the entry into the business of the private equity firms. PE firms really do require smart, strategic, fast-paced, facile with numbers, driven to be successful, competitive spirit, and someone who can just drive the organization to higher and higher levels of success. So the CEOs that they're looking for to be successful in the oil and gas business, you need to have specific industry knowledge. It might even be so narrow that you have an expertise in the stacked plays in the Permian Basin, or that you've learned the art on how to better complete wells down the Tuscaloosa Marine Shale. And thereafter, the common qualities of a successful CEO are pretty much the same. Strategic, hardworking, aspirational, inspirational for the employees. With this generation of employees, you need to engage them at all times. So those characteristics don't necessarily change. So we have a whole generation of people from the 85 to 2000s who didn't come into the business. It's called a lost generation for the oil and gas business. Once prices started to rise, however, the last 10 or 15 years, you've seen a greater demand, more petroleum engineers, more mechanical engineers, more finance types who want to get into the oil and gas business. One of the biggest impacts of the success of the oil and gas business for the past 10 years or so has been the re-entry of new generation talent into the business. If you look at any of the petroleum engineering programs around the country, Oklahoma, A&M, Texas, Penn State, Illinois, you will see more and more people wanting to get a petroleum engineering degree. Typically in the oil and gas business, it's necessary that you have some type of knowledge about the industry itself. The higher up you get in the organization, the more appropriate that knowledge needs to be. If you look at some of the functional talent and expertise in businesses, however, some of those skills are transferable from one industry into oil and gas. But when you get into the business of making risk-adjusted investment decisions on which wells to drill, more particularly these days, which and how to complete which wells, you've got to have an understanding of the oil and gas business. I think the CEO of the future is going to have to continue to be what we're seeing in the marketplace today. At least for the short term, they're going to be younger, but they're also going to be externally focused with the ability to raise capital. The needs of capital for this business continue to grow dramatically. They'll need to be able to talk to the investor base. They're going to need to be agile with regards to both pivoting from oil or liquids to natural gas and vice versa, depending on the economic opportunities. They're going to need to be fast-paced. They're going to need to be driven. They're going to be very competitive people, and they've got to be strategic. The oil and gas business has been defined over the years by those who've been able to see around the corner and try to anticipate what the trends might be in the business and be positioned to take advantage of that growth.